and welcome everyone to a wonderful Wednesday of Trekyards goodness. We're looking at a ship from the multiverse of Star Trek, be it canon, non-canon, side canon, the in-between grey areas of is this really canon? Is Stowe canon? Is the books look at a ship, discuss it, theorise, try and work out what that little gribbly is and that little basard does. Is it basard? Is it just a glowy bit? All of the above. And see if we like it or not. And then hopefully you guys have some thoughts for the full episode down the road. So Stuart, how are you and what are we doing today?
I am fine, and today we are doing something that we haven't seen before. It's a Romulan shuttle. Now, you know, we know they have shuttles because everybody has shuttles. This one I found on DeviantArt, actually, by somebody by the name of Axeman 3D. And I thought it was fantastic. It was actually, they used the original Matt Jeffries design.
Yes.
For the shuttle to kind of inspire this. And it's very, very Romulan-esque in its shapes and curves, I think. So I think it works that way. And yeah, there you have it. This first shot is an amazing kind of in-motion shot of it zipping off the planet's surface. And I think it's fantastic.
And thanks for watching this week's Trekyards Vision Briefing. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen this model before on a 3D site, because it had to be a model to make this, but I didn't think to download it. Yeah, it's, I mean, obviously the idea of the Romulans are a bit of a all over the place, given that, you know, in Enterprise, chronologically, these green, more advanced looking ships, and they, you know, reuse costumes from Nemesis and the same city, so there's a lot of repeated elements that are like, well, okay, fine. Then obviously TOS happened, very unique look, even the logo's different, and then it goes back to being TNG, you know, then it sort of stays consistent until Nemesis, so the Romulans have a bit of a weird history. I mean, there is nothing in the Lost Era anyway, so there is a whole heap of history. This obviously is the Jeffries, but if you take that out of the equation and think it was just a design, yeah, I mean, it certainly feels like a shrunk, basically just a shrunk bird of prey, with a more interesting engine setup, for sure, and a lot more detail.
And quite a bit of interior room by the looks of it. If you look at that door on the side, you can see that it's pretty substantially sized. I mean, it's not just a small Type F shuttle like the Federation has.
Runabout length, maybe?
But
way more width. I mean, way more width.
Yeah, the width is where the volume would come in there. I could easily see this fitting 3 pilots and then like a whack load of room in the
soldiers.
back still. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look aggressive, but it could very well be a ground attack craft or flies into an enemy hangar. I mean, it looks like a Romulan TOS ship, just nicer details. Like,
and to be honest, I mean, this could even attach to the underside of another ship, much like a captain's yacht. I could see it parking itself in there and kind of having you got the bird motif on the bottom. So I mean, I just think I think it'd be cool actually to see it docked to another ship underneath. Have the bigger bird of the ship and then the smaller bird kind of.
Well, in those subtle visuals you can imagine, it's attached to the bird. It detaches, swings down. You see this bird, and this bird then comes at you. So it's like, you know, the bird of prey is launching. Although I will say that the engine's like a sonic screwdriver or a Dalek eye. Very, very similar details.
Yes.
There's very similar shapes you can have in technology and shapes. I mean, obviously. I don't know if you need the bird motif exactly on this design. I mean, it seems like an odd concept that, you know, this race that have, you know, left left Vulcan to Romulus. There you go, because they want to be, you know, more emotional. You know, they're refugees and they create this culture.
They want to be free, like a bird flies free. So that's why they use the bird motif.
That can't be the real reason. That's brilliant, but that's, and then
it's
they say, hey,
reason.
Let's do war paint when, you know. I'd love to see if in the Romulan War they added these, because I mean that would be a kind of nice little. We saw they didn't use them at least in their ship in Enterprise, but if in the Romulan War, you know, they got so into war, they said, hey, for some reason we're not going to hail them, even though we've all got visual communications, but why not? Let's add the war motif so they know it's a Romulan coming at them. If they've got the bird, and they just kept it going for another 80 years.
We hear these humans are afraid of birds, so let's research their databanks and find out what kind of birds are on their planet and paint them on the bottom of our ships, because they look very similar to Earth birds.
In glow-in-the-dark paint. I mean, come on, it's not being lit. It's anyway. It's again, it's very, very TOS. In itself, it doesn't feel Romulan. In itself, you took this out, you could, like, you made the Bassards not Bassards, it'd just be, you know, a flying saucer with engines. But that could be said for lots of things, Enterprise and then Voyager. Like, lots of stuff is just ship. So it certainly looks like a Romulan TOS ship, but at the same time it looks like a sort of generic flying saucer with engines. But that is also what TOS... I mean, you know what I mean? It is both those things, but it certainly has that 60s vibe with a bit of money behind it, which is good.
Yeah. Let's move to the next picture real quick. This is a picture of it at the top of it. This shows a lot more detail. Now, this I really like because, as we know, the Romulans are kind of based and structured on the Romans.
Yes.
I mean, and here on the way the front windows are shaped, it looks very much like kind of like, not necessarily a Roman helmet, but just like a knight helmet of some sort, with the eye slits and then the. So I kind of like that aesthetic. And here you don't have the bird motif on the top. You've got this red striping, which looks fantastic. I mean, I like this thing very much, actually.
You're just trying to find the words.
That's why I included it. Yes, that's why I included it in the mission briefing.
Thinking, I just love it so much.
I just love it.
It is my ship, and I just brought up a picture of the Romulan shuttle from obviously DS9. And I'll edit. Sorry, Stu, you can't see it, but if you remember, the front has the single line view screen window thing, and then a line down. Now it's not the same shape, but it still has that, you know, hole up then line. So you can see some slight parallels, and then the door is somewhat similar. But I just added like some of the subtle details to link to this design, because well, if you put them side by side, and you'll see in the edit, Stu, it actually. Even with a little fin at the top, it actually does look like a very, very, very basic version of the same ship. It just should have been slightly longer. Would be the only thing I'd say to really like push it. But no, I like the windows. I'm not sure what the red is meant to be at the top. I get the wing pieces. I mean, the top symbol is like a Bajoran symbol, so I'm kind of confused by that. That would have been nice to see something a bit more. Well, I don't know, Romulan. I don't know what it's trying to be. So I don't know how to judge it, I guess.
Good point. Well, that fin on the top is very reminiscent again of the fin on the TOS bird of prey, or the warbird, which I like. It's a great visual tie-in.
Warbird of prey. Ooh, the warbird of prey. That's pretty good.
The warbird of prey.
You can have that, Star Trek. That one's on me.
Trekyards approved. Commander Cocking's original. Now, I really like the engines, the detailing on them, that stepped look. I think is really, really great. And it kind of, it's not the typical smooth look that we get from TOS, like the Federation nacelles or even the Romulan nacelles from TOS. It's very much more of almost a real world feel. It's like there's different components to these engines. And they could easily be housed in a single casing, which makes them look a lot smoother and a lot more advanced. But I really like the way this looks personally, and the green Bassard collectors on the Romulan ships. I really like that touch.
Pardon me. The next question, though, for you, Stuart, is now I know there's some controversy around the TOS bird of prey if it could go to warp. I mean, it's nonsensical if it couldn't. Unless it was dropped off. They say in the episode it can, and also it can't.
Yeah.
Everything between the sun, it is and isn't everything. A shuttle, again in TOS, I believe at one point they could go to warp, another point they can't go to warp.
It's kind of iffy on that one. Yeah.
I mean, warp in TOS is just we're going fast. It's like, you know, a car. We're now at warp 65, 75, 80. You know, it's just fast. There's no. Anyway. But these engines,
the wave file when I did that was awesome. Sorry, audio recording.
In 3, 2, 1. No, the engines warp capable, not. Oh, is this creating thrust? Because these are very interesting engines. Subtly interesting, but interesting.
See that? Yeah, that's a good point because, like I said, it's not the same as the ones we saw in TOS, and since it is just a shuttle, it could be literally chemically propelled rockets of some kind for the shuttle. Although, again, the Romulan history is kind of iffy on that one. Initially, they were one of the last races to have warp in Starfleet battles and stuff, so it could be that that's the case for their shuttles. They don't really need warp. The shuttle is more of an auxiliary drop ship going from orbit to planet. You don't really necessarily need to go system to system with a shuttle. So why have warp engine necessarily? So yeah, I kind of like the fact that these might not be warp engines; that they might actually be some kind of chemical or solid state fuel kind of.
I don't want to underestimate the Romulans that much, because that would be such a poor state of affairs.
Yeah.
To have fuel. So I think it's either. I mean, to be fair, I mean, look at how early Earth developed Warp 1. I mean, it was early as anything.
Yeah.
So these could easily be, Warp 1 engines. Really basic, big components, just a warp to make it. I think it's unrealistic or non-realistic that the TOS shuttles shouldn't have warp. I mean, either they are short-range shuttle pods, or every other shuttle after them has warp of some kind. That says something about what shuttles are there for, and we see them ridiculously, stupidly going between starbase and ship, and it's like, come on, dudes, you can get there in your Enterprise in 12 minutes. Why are you going 4 days in a shuttle? It doesn't matter that you've got another mission. Take them there and go back. You could have a cup of coffee boiling. It'd still be warm when you get there. Come on, guys. A shuttle is not a long-range vehicle unless it has some sort of warp drive. Then it's like, it's just yeah. I mean, warp drive means that even at a, it's like the D has to take. So this has to have warp, just a low warp.
Yeah.
Because then you're ferrying inside the Empire, maybe, because the Empire, it wasn't the hugest empire of them all. So again,
we're twin planets, Romulus and Remus. This could be going from planet to planet.
It could be anything and everything. I mean, I think a shuttle should be multi-purpose, or you have dedicated different shuttles, in which case we don't know what this is classed as. But I think warp engines, minimal warp. The sense I get from the grating is heat loss. Is all this power has to be vented. Like, it needs all that. Like, it's trying to make the smallest warp nacelles possible, and the way it does that is by having huge amount of heat sink just to keep a stable field. That's what I take from that. It's quite a lot from taking just from grills, I know. But we try on this show, and I hope you like my idea.
I do, absolutely.
Thank you.
Something else I want to point out is the patterning on the window. It's very unique. It's almost like it could almost be like a solar collector of sorts, and not necessarily a see-through window. It could be a situation where it's either there's things that slide over, or it's just. I mean, there's so many possibilities there. It could just be a grating that they actually look through, or you can't see it from inside, or whatever. But I think it adds a lot to the appearance of the ship to have it on the outside. I like that a lot. So.
Well, obviously it links to TOS with the grates and engineering and one of the corridors. But also, I mean, very, very odd reference if it is one, but in Endgame, Voyager Endgame, the armour inside the shuttle, look at the internal side of the armour, it is, these little plates of hexagons. On the outside it's not, but on the inside it is. So that'd be a ridiculous link if it was. But yeah, some sort of blade of armour, or even, the translucent material, so it's not on the outside, because that'd be silly, but on the inside you can see through it, one-way window glass, just as armour. Or just looks cool. I mean, if you had it blank, it'd look fine, but yeah, it looks nice to have this bit of detail. I agree.
I think we're overanalyzing, but that's what we do here at Omniscient Briefing, because we like to. Let's move on to the next picture, and this is a shot of it from the back and the bottom. So here we got some new interesting things to talk about. I love the look of those impulse engines. I love the coloring. I love the patterning. I love the shape, the spacing. Everything about them is perfect for this ship. But that implies that the other engines would be warp nacelles, I would think. Because if you have impulse engines, you're not going to need solid state or solid fuel rockets of any kind.
Yep.
So that whole conversation we just had just means nothing.
Well, every ship under the sun has warp and impulse.
Yeah.
That bird of prey is a weird ship. It's a test warbird deploy weapon system. It's like a turret in space. It's not meant to be a. Although again, inter-system offensive strategies need to be with warp. So just FYI, guys, build warp in. I mean, engines again, they don't generate thrust. The outer engine, so having this random red blob at the end, that's fine. It's creating a warp bubble. I like this side is the side that was the most like the Enterprise bird of prey from TOS. With the curves at the front and the fin. This one, for me, feels the most. But I quite like, for some reason, those two lines of metal coming out. So I guess maybe
Yeah.
they're impulse ionized particle shields for the warp engines doesn't spell out. I mean, something simple as that, or just aesthetics. But I kind of like it. It adds a bit of dimensionality.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with you on that. Now, one thing I'm curious about is where are the landing gear? I mean, you see kind of like a door on the wing assembly there at the front of the wing. There's almost like a panel.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go back to the last picture, you don't see any kind of visible landing gear there. So I would assume they're on the bottom somewhere. But again, there's no paneling. There's nothing to really show. It'd be cool if there was two, like where the bird's feet would be. So they kind of come down like a bird's feet and it lands on two. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean that's the argument.
That's my Buck Rogers brain talking with Hawk's ship, how it kind of landed.
And I know all about that ship now because we've done a Fleet Yards. Check out Fleet Yards episode on Hawk's ship. Now, I unfortunately, I think in the future, this is a long way in the future, it'll be anti-grav units. It'll be, you would just have the hull polarized a certain way, and you'd have an EMP-proof black box generator that would mean that you still have life support, gravity, and landing ability. In the case of there'd be things that would allow you don't need legs. I know obviously redundancy, but again, 200 years in the future. There are things that they used to have on airplanes that just don't need to now because of other things. I mean, obviously, you know what I mean? It's...
Yeah, but to require power for something all the time is very...
Think about it this way, though. It's like an electric car. Shouldn't all electric cars have petrol motors just in case you run out of electricity? Obviously, you have those great hybrids. But when isn't that argument, if you run out of power on your electric car, it's now just a brick. So you need to have petrol as well.
Yeah.
No, you
that's
don't.
That's why you would need landing gear.
But no, you
Because
don't if you...
If you're going to have your shuttle bay in your shuttle, or if you're going to have your shuttle in your shuttle bay for 12 months because you don't need to use it, is it going to be powered the whole time, just hovering above the ground?
You said recently the TOS, communicator is always charged by
induction charging.
Yeah, so that's not really an issue, really.
Well, okay, well, on a planet then.
But then you just turn it off slowly.
I think
you turn off slowly and you land just on the floor.
I could see that, I guess. I just think it's silly to require power all the time, because how many times in Star Trek is there some kind of energy dampening field or something around the planet, or some kind of monster that sucks the power out of everything, even the black box?
See, I know that's a good argument. The problem is, I said this to someone yesterday about some Discovery stuff. You look at TNG, for example, 7 seasons, that's 7 years of content, right? We see 26 days in their year, roughly. And not all those days have a horribly aggressive situation where they lose power or they get damaged. If you look at their year that we see, they might have only had 20 days of danger that is that extreme. So that's 300-something days of a nebula, between ships. I mean, the idea of, we lose power regularly. Yes, twice a year is not regularly. Twice a year is the exception to the rule. So yes, there might be a lose power, but if you build everything with those redundancies and you don't use it 99% of the time, obviously you build in redundancies for a reason. But if the shuttle's designed to go between Romulus and Remus, or ship and ship,
Okay, I'll give you that. But that's not a fair argument, because it's not just 26 days you see. Some of those episodes take weeks.
Mm-hmm. But they're not in danger for all those weeks either.
Well,
again, ships are designed just to explore something like a nebula or a planet. I mean, they don't get in battles.
Yeah,
I mean, TNG is like, what 3 dozen battles maybe in 7 years that we see, obviously, but there's not a lot of battles in the years. Same with TOS. TOS maybe a few more. Well, no, less obviously, but maybe more in relation. Again, I would personally always have obviously landing legs and reserve. I would have that, but I'm just saying this is so far in the future. It's the ape brain mentality. You have gravimetric plating, you lower that gently, so you land just on the paint because that's fine. You grab it back up, and then you know.
And I guess the same argument could be made with today's technology of storing things in the cloud. I mean, if you store stuff in the cloud and not on a physical hard drive, and then you lose all power and all the infrastructure that creates that cloud, you've lost your stuff.
Well, it's true. You double whammied it. What if there's no power for the hard drive? If you don't write it down, you've lost it forever. Shouldn't every single file on the internet be written down physically, otherwise you will lose it forever? If there's no power, you can't.
Well, they're all stored somewhere physically, but I'm just saying. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you're saying, but
if you
have a hard drive, the chances of you powering up a computer with some other, if there's an EMP that wipes out the whole planet, we're going to be able to create additional power sources eventually that'll get that back up and powered again. But in the meantime, you're gonna.
This is a whole sub episode, isn't it? This is a whole sub
Yeah,
episode.
we're not even talking about the shuttle. The shuttle looks great. I love it.
It looks great.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say about the bottom. I'm
Neither
just
do
wondering,
I.
those things at the front, those little black things, you think those are probably like phaser arrays or something, or what are those?
I would have said like
'Cause
Voyager-esque
I couldn't
sensor
see any
grids.
weapons at all.
Sensor grids for me. There's no deflectors. I'd just say sensors would be my bet.
Well, there you have it, guys. I think that's it for this episde.
Okay, back to the front view, I guess.
It was quite a discussion
view.
about everything but the shuttle.
Hey, I loved it, Stuart. I loved it.
Yeah, it is a great ship, and I'm glad you liked it, and I hope you guys liked it out there. If you did, hit the like button, and let us know what you think about this shuttle.
I would love to see though a more obviously I would love to see a 30-year more advanced green. You push it more towards the beak. I mean, 20% push it. I think again, takes one shape, do that to it, boom, it would feel like an evolution. I love seeing the steps in between.
Yeah,
this is so easily evolved into something else. But yeah, which works really well.
cool. Well, comment below, guys. What do you think about the shuttle? Should it have landing legs? Does it have fuel propulsion, or just are those warp nacelles? Let us know what you guys think, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. And there's other ways to help us, Samuel. What are those?
Well, you can like and share and comment and promote these videos if you like what you see, what you hear, and just our pretty faces. Mostly Stuart, because he got married, he's got all these kids, he must be pretty, because the women just fall over to run away from him, except the one that loved him.
The one that tripped and fell and got beat in the head, and I just drove her back to my cave, and
in the snow on your moose, because you're Canadian. You can help us on Patreon, which is a monthly service a lot of YouTubers use because, we need funding. We've got to pay the bills, we've got to pay for these lights to be on, to get crisp video and sound, and not video, but crisp picture and all these things. And to improve the show, you need funding to do that. If you want to see more show and better show, help us out by Patreon. Give us a little bit each and every month. $8 you won't notice, $5 you probably won't notice, $10 you might, but boy, if 10 of you, 100 of you give $10, it makes all the difference in the world. So please consider that. Go to Patreon/Trekyards. But what's the other way, Stuart?
You can go to trekyards.com, and there's a huge donate button there. Well, it's not huge. It's a donate button. You can click that, and
modestly sized donate button.
You can use PayPal or credit card, and you can give a one-time donation of like 10, 25, whatever you feel like. Kind of like think of it as a tip for all the free YouTube videos we do for you guys to enjoy. So that's another way you can do it, or you can always share the video, as Samuel suggested, with other Trekyards, not other Trekyards groups, because we got those covered. Other Star Trek groups that we might not have thought of. If you're a Romulan fan and you're a member of some Romulan group, share this so that they can speculate on what they think about this shuttle as well. That'd be fantastic. So that's about it. So until next time, guys, he's Commander Calkins.
And he is the one and only Captain Foley.
That's right. And we will see you next time, as we're Team Trekyards.
Bye, guys.
Yep.